friends. Well, I already talked to you guys about this whole Soviet stuff. By Soviet stuff, I mean everything that's being done by the mainstream media, by the left. I mean, it's really the tactics that they're employing are straight out of the playbook, like straight out. If you guys ever seen the movie Straight Outta Compton, this is straight out of Moscow. even though it's not actually necessarily Russian. It's just a playbook. Meaning, if you guys ever read the book by Saul Alinsky, I know you guys probably have heard this before. It's a book called Rules for Radicals, and he talks about one of the things he talks about is isolating your opponent or isolating your enemy, I guess, and then ridiculing them. So if you guys saw what happened, for example, when they had those hearings in all the states, right? You're talking about Georgia. What was the other state? The other state was, which one's, I guess, I'm a little blurry here. One second. Let me just. Oops. There was Georgia, and then there was Michigan. So what they did was, there's a few states: Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania. So they did was, I don't know if you guys remember, they took that lady. There was a lot of people who testified. They took that lady who used to work for Dominion, the one who worked for Dominion in Detroit. And, she's a little bit ditzy, the blonde girl, she's kind of a ditz. And so that was supposed to be Giuliani's star witness, so they took her. And they basically made her into a caricature. They turned her into a caricature on SNL, who at this point, as far as I'm concerned, and many people are concerned, are just the arm of the Democratic Party or the deep state or wherever you want to call it, wherever you want to label it, right? And that's what they did, right? You don't actually focus, because what do? What's the main strategy in this Rules for Radical? You don't actually focus on your opponent's content, because if you focus on his content, that means you have to answer to the content, right? You have to actually answer to what he's actually saying. It's interesting. I point this out to people like leftists, and they say, well, no, we did, and all the content was thrown out by the courts. They don't actually say what was thrown out. They don't actually say what was brought. They just say like this broad, sweeping statement. And this is something that we see now, even now. Like, they don't actually say what Trump. They don't play over and over what Trump actually said. What they do is they show you what happened, right, among the 0.0001% of people that actually went to this thing, out of the millions of people that went, that were not causing violence and never meant to, never wanted to. And they show you that, and then they say, you see, and then they make the connection. You see, Trump riled those people up. He was the one that incited this, and blah, 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 therefore he's bad, therefore he needs to get thrown out. And then they go further, they say, therefore anybody associated with him, or anybody who even voted for him, who didn't storm the Capitol, is also, a sycophant. Should be, my friends, this is basically the playbook of the Soviets. This is the playbook of the Bolsheviks. This is exactly what they would do. If you guys don't believe me, you can talk to my parents about this, because not only did they experience this firsthand in their face growing up for the first 33 years of their lives, they also had to learn it. They had to learn the theory in high school and in college, elementary school. They were actually required to learn, first and foremost, Marxist theory, which is more the economic, socioeconomic theory, but they're also forced to learn methods and tactics. They were forced to learn about these things, like revolution, how to make a revolution, these kind of things. My friends, these people are making a revolution. This is a revolutionary movement, or a movement of revolutionaries, but they're trying to make a revolution. Interestingly enough, the people who are primarily in power in the Democratic Party, they are using them. These people are being used. All these BLM, like that guy, for example, we just found out, I'll post it. One of the guys who were storming the Capitol, in the crowd among those guys was a BLM guy, and they found a chat of his among his, what is it called? His allies, his Antifa friends and BLM friends, that basically he bragged about how he was the one directing everybody. Not only that some of the cops were letting people in that they weren't even actually cops. They were posing as cops. Basically, the whole thing was staged, right? And we know, if you guys look at history, the Reichstag fire, basically what Hitler did in that situation was he used that event. I don't know, even if he didn't set it up, or maybe he did. He used that event to basically ban anybody and everyone associated with his. In that time, it was actually communists or people who were with Stalin, because Stalin and Hitler were, they were allies. But then he just wanted to, take full power, absolute power in Germany or in that area of Europe, and so he used that event to, vilify anyone who was associated with that, or basically just stomp out all his enemies in the parliament and take full absolute power. This is what they're doing now, my friends. This is exactly what they're doing now. They're using this as a pretext to take absolute power. Not only that, to stomp out any and all dissent. You're talking about, and people. It's interesting that people say, well, if you don't like Twitter and Facebook and all these other things, that these are private companies, you're free to go elsewhere. Okay, we went elsewhere. Elsewhere got taken down as well. It's like saying elsewhere. Where elsewhere are we gonna go? You know what I'm saying, my friends? Like, people. This is how people communicate today. This is how people are able to gather. People who don't know each other, groups of people who are able to gather. This is why places like China, the Chinese government, the Iranian government, have stomped out. What is it called? They've stomped out internet usage. People are using proxy servers. Like in Iran, the few people that were able to use proxy servers and gather and have these protests, automatically the Revolutionary Guard comes in and stomps everybody out. Baruch Hashem, up until now in America, that's not possible because people can actually communicate and gather and all these kind of things. Now people are fleeing to things like Signal and what is it called, the other one, Telegram, Gab, I don't know, other, just video, the Rumble, BitChute, different things, Cloud Hub, stuff like that. We have alternative sources. The thing is, my friends, like, these things take time to build up, meaning it takes time for a lot of people to join these things. Not only that, it takes a lot of money. My friends, you guys probably know, these people have spent the last 4 years pouring, I would say, trillions into getting this guy out of office. By trillions, I mean money from abroad, money from tycoons, which I won't name, money from foreign governments, money from supposedly friendly governments, friendly nations, NATO countries. My friends, this is what we're experiencing. This is exactly what we're experiencing. If you're telling me I'm talking, crazy talk, I'm just telling you again, as a former Soviet citizen, as a person who's the child of refuseniks, of people, of dissidents, they're telling you this is exactly what's being done because they lived it, and they read about it, or they learned about it when they were growing up. Not just about it, but they experienced it firsthand. And they're telling you that this is out of a textbook. I always say, the guy at the BLM guy who joined those guys, in the Capitol, I said, if this guy was, if there was like a halacha book for, Marxist revolutionaries, this guy would be a tzaddik because he's following it to a T. He's following the textbook. It's textbook, like, step by step. Or at the very least, he's following, what's it called? He's following Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky. Yeah, my friends, so that's the message I wanted to give over with one person watching, but it's okay because this video, B'ezrat Hashem, will be posted. It'll be on this channel, and you guys will get to watch it. And interested to hear your comments, as long as they're civil, because what I see sometimes people, and for a lot of my videos, I've had to disable comments because people just, there's a lot of trolls on YouTube. I was telling friends and family a long time ago, I said, this is like, we're talking like 2010, and I said, just from reading YouTube comments on videos about Israel and Jews, I said, anti-Semitism would come from both the right and the left, in this country, and that my friends and family were like, oh, you're crazy, you're this, you're that, and I'm like, they're like, how do you know? I'm like, all you have to do is just go on YouTube comments and read YouTube comments from people, whether it's like Islamists, anti like people who hate Jews, Islamic fundamentalists who hate Jews or hate Israel, or it's right, yeah, there are white supremacists out there. It's not the big boogeyman that leftists make it out to be, but those guys exist. They do exist, but at the same time, like, I don't know, my friends. I was telling people for 10 years about this, and listen, not everybody could see these things. You have to really know how to analyze media, you have to analyze social media, you have to look at, it's hard to see components of something that's happening in real time and then step back, zoom out, and see it, put two and two together in the big picture. It's even harder to make other people see that. Once you see it yourself, it's harder to make other people see that until it actually happens, which is happening now. So, and the same thing goes, by the way, for what I just told you guys about this, the Soviet tactics. It's hard for people to see it because you're in it, and not only that, you never actually experienced it. You don't know what to look for, right? But we're telling you what to look for. We're telling you that we had to live among the cultists. My parents had to live among the psychos and the cultists, and they're telling you that these people are here in America, and they're about to be in power, right? They're about to be in power. And you should do well to listen. If you're not listening yet, and if you're not really understanding, and if you're denying, and if you're, ridiculing and all that kind of stuff, I advise you, listen. It's really up to you. If you want to, you can keep on going the way you're going, but it's just gonna hurt you because you know what, my friends? Again, like I always say, these people are gonna come for you. Also, you're not. Once they're done with people like us, like Has v'Shalom, they're gonna come for you. And then when they do that, don't say that I did not warn you, or others did not warn you. All right, my friends. Talk to you soon. How do I am here. Thank you for what you're doing. Oh, good. Good stuff. All right. Share. Are we done here? We're done. Create post. Oops.